Imagine that you're taking a test for your algebra class, and there's a quadratic equation you can't solve. Factoring won't work, and you don't have enough room to graph. What will you do? Complete the square! As a math major, I am qualified to show how to complete the square to solve quadratic equations. In my presentation, I will explain how to complete the square by showing the 7 steps and explaining common mistakes to avoid. Before completing the square, it is important to know what is required to be able to do it. Completing the square only requires a pencil and paper to do. However, a calculator is helpful for people who might not like doing arithmetic in their head. An important idea to understand before completing the square is what exactly the word solution means. If an exam question asks you to find the solution, it is just asking you for the value or values that make the equation true. For example, for the equation x squared minus 2x equals negative 1, the number 0 is not a solution, while the number 1 is. This is because when 0 is put in for x, the equation becomes 0 equals negative 1, which is not true. On the other hand, when 1 was put in for x, the equation becomes negative 1 equals negative 1, which is true. According to Western Texas A&M in December 2009, there might be 2 solutions to a quadratic equation. As shown for the equation x squared minus 5x equals negative 6, 2 and 3 are both solutions because they make the equation become negative 6 equals negative 6. When you are done completing the square, you will know the solution, or solutions, for the equation that you are asked about. According to Joseph Lee in August 2017, a quadratic equation is an equation that can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a can't be 0. Therefore, throughout the steps, I will show that form on the left being solved. According to Lamar University in 2003, a quadratic doesn't have to be in that form to solve with completing the square, so I will also be solving the example 5x squared plus 20x plus 10 equals negative 5 on the right. The first step to completing the square is to divide by the a value, where the a value is just the coefficient of the x squared term. For the left equation, everything was divided by a, and on the right equation, everything was divided by 5. The next step is to move the constants to the right. Since c over a is a constant on the left side, I want to subtract both sides by c over a for the equation on the left. For the equation on the right, I want to subtract 2 because of the plus 2. Now that the constant is on the right side of the equation, we can make the left side of the equation a perfect square. To do this, we take the linear term of the equation, divide it by 2, and then square that value. So for the equation on the left, the linear term of b over a is divided by 2 to make b over 2a, and that value is squared to make b squared over 4a squared. B squared over 4a squared is added to both sides. The left side is now factorable to be x plus b over 2a, all quantity squared. We now take the square root of both sides, and the square root on the right side has a plus or minus sign because a number always has 2 square roots. For the equation on the right, the linear term is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 squared is 4, so 4 is added to both sides. The left side of the equation is factored to become x plus 2 quantity squared, so we take the square root of both sides to get the final equation. Now that we have taken the square root of both sides, the equation is now a linear equation. The only part left to solving the equation is isolating x by itself. For the equation on the left, you subtract b over 2a from both sides to solve for x. For the equation on the right, you need to subtract 2 from both sides. Now you have solved the equations, but before you can know the solutions, you have to simplify the answers. To do this, you have to rewrite each solution twice. Once where a plus sign is where the plus or minus sign is, and once where the negative sign is where the plus or minus sign is. For the equation on the left, it simplifies to the quadratic formula. For the equation on the right, negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1, and negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Negative 1 and negative 3 are solutions to the original equation 5x squared plus 20x plus 10 equals negative 5. When solving equations with completing the square, there are mistakes you should avoid. One mistake that is common is forgetting the plus or minus sign. The plus or minus sign is what gives 2 solutions to a quadratic equation. The example on the left shows that when you forget the plus or minus sign, you only get 1 solution rather than 2. Another common mistake is shown on the right. In the example, a variable is on the right. When the square root is taken on both sides and 2 is subtracted, there isn't a solution because of that x on the right side. I have now just explained how to complete the square by showing the 7 steps and mistakes to avoid. Now when you are taking an algebra test, you can solve any quadratic equation they give you because of completing the square.